Hello Capricorn, welcome back to my channel. I am Mariana and I will do the vibes inside for you today. So I'm trying to do a little bit shorter readings, Capricorn, and I have already pre-shuffled your cards and laid them out and opened them. So I feel like I have a tune of the story for you. Well, I actually want to start with the driver here. Before I sat down and did your reading here, was drawing these cards, I kind of reminded myself Capricorn, right? Capricorn is, at least in the opposite hemisphere, you're born at the darkest and sometimes coldest time of the year. So you're used to that, right? You're used to this, like Capricorn, I see them as very hard workers, right? Sometimes to have an overview, we have to kind of maybe distance ourselves and put ourselves. That's what you as a goat can do. You can climb mountains, right? Which is not normal for goats, right? But you can do that to kind of have this overview of what's actually going on, because the dark time could be the feeling that there's not much light that helps you see the right plan or the right way or the clear goal. You kind of have to set yourself on something and then just steer towards it, right? You have to put it in your mind's eye or in your heart or something and just go towards it, even though you may not know exactly where it takes you. And well, I've been reading for what we call scapegoats for a long time, believing I was one myself when I was growing up. And I believe that people that grow up with a scapegoat energy, they don't have that compass. Not necessarily. Like the compass that should steer them in a direction that, because if everything is dark around you, how should you know where to go? Unless you have something that guides you. Some kind of inner compass or a little flame or something that kind of tells you that this is the right way. And for a Capricorn, I really see the Capricorn being a very dedicated energy. That when it has set its mind to something, it's going in that direction because there is no other choice. Sticking to this plan, right? You're an earth sign, you stick to the plan and then you go for that because there is no other plan. You can't see any other plan. So you have to stick with that feeling, right? The High Priestess came out in the pre-shuffle here. And again, you're choosing the High Priestess, usually what I also call work in the dark, right? They work with intuition, they work with energies. Like it's something about really tuning your senses and allowing yourself to be guided by your hearing, right? By your instinct about what's around. If the forest is totally dark, Capricorn, and you want to go through it, to not get all these branches and stuff in your head, you need some kind of, well, I say for the Scorpio, they have some kind of spider senses, but actually you are that as well. I believe you and Scorpio, you are those energies that have most of these abilities to work in the dark. Like Scorpio known for the deep water, and at the bottom of the deep sea, there is no light. So how do you navigate deep, dark waters, or how do you navigate deep, dark forest? It's two different abilities, but it both needs, like the antennas needs to come out, right? Otherwise you will get like and fall and stumble over something, right? If you don't get skilled at this. And I think Capricorns, you get skilled at that. You're associated with the Devil card in tarot, and I think it's, well, and you are ruled by Saturn, and I believe that's the reason. It's not because there's something wrong with you, but it may feel like that, or you may have been hearing that, right? That it is like pressing through and getting to your end goal despite of all the speed bumps, despite of all the Saturn energy. And Saturn is the great teacher, we call him that. It's like there are speed bumps in your road. Being a Capricorn is a special experience here on Earth. Choosing to incarnate as a Capricorn, if you believe in that, means that you come here to experience this. That there is no light guiding you. There is no compass necessarily. You have to trust in like an ability that I believe that you develop. You learn to develop it. For a Taurus, things are seen. It's right in front of them. The sun, the spring sun is there to show them the green grass, right? Where they can go and eat. But for you, Capricorn, no, you are born in the winter time. It's cold. It's dark. It's maybe rainy or frost or snow or whatever it is. There are no crops there. So you need to survive on something else, right? You learn how to maybe, savor food. You make yourself like a stockroom, right? You become a gatherer. And you make a plan. It's a different skill than the Taurus, because for the Taurus, it's right in front of them. They can see everything. It's clear. It's a clear plan. It's right in front of them. Right? And this is not easy for Capricorns. So you develop certain skills here, as well as does Scorpio, right? Navigating a darker realm, or a more muddy realm, you could say. You can't really, your vision, you can't really rely on that. You can't rely on what you see. You can stand beside a Taurus and you look at the same object, but for Taurus it is one thing and for you it's something else, because you can't trust what you see. For you it's not right. Maybe it is for the Taurus, but for you, not necessarily. You use your spider senses, right? Again, to kind of figure out what I'm looking at. Is it too good to be true or what? Because you have had all these speed bumps. And without a compass, it's even more difficult to figure anything out. You have to rely entirely on your spider senses, and you're just walking around in circles, not getting anywhere. So this inner feeling, even though it is like this small, you have to trust it. You have to learn to trust it. In the midst of this darkness, somehow, you have to trust some kind of feeling that if you devote yourself to that, it will take you to another place, right? It will take you out of some kind of muddy vision or dark forest. I have a little bit of feeling that whom I'm talking to today, Capricorn, is someone who has been receiving maybe a lot of criticism on their appearance. So it could be something about your shape and form. It could be that you were called too thick, or overweight or obese, or you were criticized for that, or something else about you. I don't know, maybe your nose, or your thighs or your feet or something, that somehow there has been some kind of criticism. Or maybe you were born with like a slight disability or something, or deformation, I don't know. Anyway, there is something about an image complex that you have been dealing with, I feel like. And maybe there's nothing on your body at all. You can't see it. You just know it's there because you have heard it so many times. It has been said, or you have been treated in a certain way, and you have been looking like it got you cautious and very self-conscious, like you may have been looking, and you can't really see what it is, but it's like the pressure or the feeling is there somehow. I want to take the driver card first, because I think I want that. This is the driver card, underlying energy, 5 of air. So here we see someone trying to be a bird or try to fly like a dove. But they are not a dove, or they don't feel like a dove. The 5 of air is a card of like deceit, backstabbing, but it's verbal. So it has to do with how people may have talked to you, what they have said to you. It could be, classmates bullying, something like that. It could be those you were closest to, maybe your family, that the tone in the home, the communication tone was kind of bullying, or like critical, critical. That something was off with you somehow. You tried your best to look like these doves and play along, but you never felt like one, right? You never felt that you quite belonged, that you were different somehow. Or, as I said, maybe not liked. That there's something about not being liked that has had an effect on you. Like the 5 card is not a good. It's not a good energy. It's a destructive energy, I want to say, to our sense of self and self-love and self-expression. To clarify this, I have the Magician and the Mirror. And the Magician and the Mirror, every time I see something about the mirror here, because it is also in your overall energy, Capricorn. Every time I see something about the mirror, I see something about that people reflect something back to you. They say something to you, but it may not at all have something to do with you. They are projecting stuff that has to do with themselves, perhaps. But you don't know that, right? When you're a child, you don't know it. So if people tell you you are ugly, if you are not good at defending yourself, you could actually believe it. You could believe it. And that hurts you. It hurts your sense of self. And even worse, if you believe in it, you take it to heart and it becomes part of your identity. That I am not as pretty as the others, or as I said, you're overweight or you're clumsy. You are, you act in a way that is different than the other doves. And you're supposed to be better, right? That somehow is like the elephant in the porcelain shop. Right, that the others are like slim, beautiful cats that can easily navigate the glass and the porcelain in the shop. But when you come in there, you throw everything around and crashes everything, right? And you get remarks, people or comments, right? People will comment on your way of being. It could be something about how you're walking, or something that is basically not important. But the magician here is, and the mirror is like they tell you, right? They tell you something. The magician usually is someone who has the ability to change stuff. It's a magician. They can fix or magically change something, right? And when it has to do with the mirror, I feel like it's like it reflects, right? And it could be you, that you are actually a mirror to other people, and that is a thing in itself. If you are a mirror to other people, the problem with being a mirror is that you don't know you are one. That you don't know you are a mirror. If you knew you were a mirror, you wouldn't maybe take it so hard when people react, because what you are doing, acting as a mirror, is like when you are standing in front of them, it's like showing them a mirror of themselves. But maybe the flip side, a shadow side of them that they haven't really looked at. When we look at these two, the magician is like he holds two different energies here. And that's what the magician and the mirror does. It's like being the mirror without knowing it. It's like you hold up a mirror in front of people. When they look at you, you hold up a mirror in front of them. And what they see is maybe the slightly more uglier side of themselves. And they don't like looking at that. People usually, we call it the shadow side, right? People usually, there's a reason why it's a shadow. It has been judged at some point, and that's why we put it in the shadow. It's a part of us that is not desired. Therefore, we are kind of dimming it so that people don't see it that much. But the problem is that if you are a mirror here and you don't know it, you get criticisms. People get angry if you stand in front of them, because you're just standing there, and maybe you are doing something, but what you are doing is just a reflection of their, you could say, their shadow. So maybe as a child you were doing something here. As I said, it could be anything. It could be something like you were clumsy. And once they were clumsy too. But it has been corrected, right? And now they are not clumsy. So when they see you being clumsy, they're correcting you for it. Right? Because that's what happened to them. So they are correcting you. They're projecting to you that you can't be like that because they couldn't, right? It was unwanted. Something that, and somehow maybe you have a way of doing this, that you, it can be anything. Picking your nose, or, I don't know, coughing without, like just, it can be any kind of behavior that when you stand in front of a certain person, suddenly you start you say something, or you act in a certain way, you walk in a certain way, you are clumsy suddenly, or you, there's something you are doing here that the people around you, it's like maybe they have been, like the elephant in the room once, but they have been corrected. So they have taken the shadow away, so now they are only doves here. I had something about, this card came out also strongly for the Taurus, and I had that reading was called Escape from the Doves, or something like that. Maybe you can look that up. But that's what I feel like, because the doves has this very, it's like the Peace Corps, right? The white doves, the symbol of peace and calm and orderliness and together, like it can have a bit of like a Virgo energy. The magician can be a Gemini or Virgo here. So maybe you have been dealing, or you have been mirrored or projected upon by a Gemini or Virgo, or both, right? And they hold, like, there is an opposition. We have fire here, and we have, well, I want to say air. Could be water here, right? But it's like oppositions. And that's what I feel like when the mirror comes along. Being a mirror is like being a catalyst for other people. But when you grow up, you don't know that. Nobody is telling you that you are a mirror, right? That is an ability you have. Being a mirror is a magician, right? Because the magician has the ability to show people something, to change something. And you can only change something within other people if they get confronted with something. And if you have been acting like a mirror here, you were not dancing like them, and not presenting like them. You were maybe, or as I said, the ugly duckling, right? The ugly duckling grows up in a dog yard or dog farm, and he's way too big. He's bullied and called ugly and everything, because everything around him, he can't disguise his form, right? He cannot suddenly become the dog. He's not a dog. He's a swan, but he doesn't know it. And that's what I feel like is also here. You are a strong magician here, Capricorn, but you have never known. You have never known. And every time you try to be in a social group, or played with peers, or participating in ordinary family life, it got weird and awkward, and maybe you kind of you could feel it. You could feel, or it has been said to you, projected, said, and verbalized, because this is air element here. And air is everything that has to do with communication, words, inside and outside words. It can be your own mind spin. It can be something you feel like you are making up, or you're thinking these thoughts, but you don't know where they come from. Or maybe you do know because people told you, like maybe you've been really overly criticized as a child. Everything you did, like when a child starts eating, it's all over the place, right? So here we may have had like a parent, you could say, that has been constantly projecting their own trauma of being criticized. I want to say they transfer it directly to you. Everything they've heard as a child, they just send it to you, because you are the mirror, and it means that you have this ability to somehow mirror what people don't like about themselves. And that could be, and the way you do it is usually your behavior. You do something. You let's say also another thing about children is something about running around naked. Well, it's kind of all right for very small children, but not maybe for elder or older children. There is some kind of time frame where you say, now it's not all right anymore, right? Now you don't run around naked in the garden where people are walking by, and there is a certain age where now, no, we don't do that anymore, right? And maybe you have been a person who really is like a naturalist. You love being like taking your clothes off and let the sun shine on you, or something. It can be anything here. And you may not, again, as I said, you may have looked, you don't know what it is. And if we don't know exactly what it is, we just know that we don't belong, that people may not like us, or they tell us that we are like trying to be a ballet dancer here, but you are regarded or looked at as like an elephant. Again, being too big or too clumsy, or like the ugly duckling, this gray, big, weird kind of duck that is not at all as like the others. And because you don't look what others may prefer, right? What others may prefer, it gives you like a complex, right? An image complex. And especially if you don't know what it is. If you don't know exactly what it is, you can just you just feel that people don't like you. That they're stepping away from you somehow. They're not letting you in. You are partially accepted or barely tolerable or something like that. If that's the case, and you don't know you are that mirror, you grow up believing that there's something wrong with you, that you are the problem. So the overall energy I have here is the Six of Water. Six of Water is usually a nostalgic card of happy childhood memories. We look back in time. It could even be in past lives. But the interesting thing about this is that she sits here and she's looking at her reflection in the water. And this is where I have the mirror thing here. The mirror thing. With this card, the six is usually a card of after a five. Before a six, we have a five of water, which is grieving. Something is lost. Something vital is lost. And therefore, We are grieving and crying and in sadness and so on. That's the 5. The 6 is like overcoming that somehow. Overcoming it, getting to a better place, or we remind ourselves of better times. That's why we can have the nostalgia and looking back, reminding ourselves of better times, right? I believe that when she sits here and she looks in the mirror, I don't think with this story here that she can actually remember any good times. So it means that she has to create some, like she has to create her own. The 6 can also be, like the 6 is a card of like overcoming something. Finding a way of overcoming something, overcoming your own mirror reflection. If you don't like looking at your own reflection yourself, how to overcome that? So she sits here and she looks at her own reflection, and as I said, maybe you can't see it. You don't, like, where is it? This awful thing that I somehow am. Maybe you can't see it. Maybe you can see it. Like maybe you can see like that maybe you have been overweight most of your life or something like that, right? Maybe you don't know what it is. Maybe you just have, like, there are these judgments that are ruling your mind somehow, or has been ruling your mind, because I want to say, I think it has been ruling your mind. With the 6 card, it's like there is something where you wanna change it, right? One of the ways of maybe accomplishing that is by using your water, right? Consciousness, your emotions. Because when we sit in a 6 here, it's a kind energy. It's about looking back at ourselves when we were this young here, and maybe I feel like a bit trapped in this way of thinking, or how all these projections, it's like, it's like maybe you have a flashback of how much you have been criticized. Right? How much you can remember that somehow there was always some kind of comment on your wardrobe. The colors, or oh, you can't wear that blouse, it's too tight, or you can't wear that, it shows too much cleavage, or are you really going to wear that? Because have you looked yourself in the mirror, right? All kinds of criticisms about how you are appearing, like what you look like. And the only way, I think, to kind of overcome that is to show yourself some kindness. That when you look yourself in the mirror, there is really no good or bad way of looking. The industry of slim people is like it's an ego manifestation that idolizes one kind of figure, one kind of look, perhaps as a woman or as a man. One kind of look is more attractive than the other, or more right, or better than the other. So maybe you are a slim person, and you are always, you would say, dressing what we would call correct. Not showing too much, not showing too little, matching colors, that there can be this awareness of nobody should put a finger on my appearance, you know? So when you go out the door, you have checked yourself, right? You have checked yourself that nothing looks or seems like it's hanging out or visible, that nothing that is not supposed to be visible is visible, or something like, I don't know what this is, but you get my point, right? That it's like a constant awareness of checking yourself somehow, how you look, and that you have made sure that nobody can point that finger, because you have had that so much here, right? You've had that so much, and you have internalized it as an external criticism towards you. So there must be something wrong with you somehow. But I'm here to tell you there's nothing wrong with you. This idea of how you're looking, even today, let's say you put on weight or something changed, you have aged or something. What you look like is still okay. It's quite okay. The way you can get out of this way of thinking is by adding the 6 to your water, right? You add a choice, I want to say, a choice that says, yeah, maybe I have been told so many times how I should look and what the right look is, or what is presentable as a young woman, or, you know, but again, what they have been doing is they have just projected their own stuff towards you. Let's say you have been criticized for showing too much skin as a young girl. If a parent here criticizes you for that, what could be the reason behind it? Maybe they are fearing that it could be fears. They fear that you could get yourself in a situation that would hurt you. But that's not what you heard, right? You were hearing their words of criticism, meaning that there must be something wrong with you. Just an example, right? When parents or other people project something upon you, it has nothing to do with you, actually. It has something to do with them and their own insecurities, or maybe they have experienced something. And for them not to speak directly about it is simply to warn you by criticizing or upholding some kind of standard, holding you to some kind of standard. So we don't know why people do the things they do. But the problem is with this card is that it's a feeling of being backstabbed. Like, this is swords energy, so it's sharp, it cuts, it hurts. It is painful. And what you can do here is that you can sit and you can watch yourself in the mirror here, and you can say, but there is nothing wrong with me. I may not be a model or whatever, but there is nothing wrong with me. Like, I don't look odd. And even if I had a disability, I have seen many videos online about, let's say, handicapped people that are very, very fond of life, because somehow they have received enough recognition that they are worthy and loved despite this disability they have. the family they grew up in gave them all the care and love and everything, appreciation that they needed to develop a healthy self-image and self-consciousness, where I feel like you didn't get that, and there's nothing, like wrong with you. When you look in your mirror here, yeah, you see a woman perhaps, or a man here, and yeah, maybe you are not, as I said, a top model or something, but there's nothing wrong with you, and you don't have to check yourself all the time. You can actually choose to do different. I see her, actually she comes across a little bit like melancholic when she sits here. Like, it's almost like making a choice that you confront yourself, you look yourself in the mirror, and you decide. Again, I feel like it's very much about a choice. I decide that I'm okay. I decide that my body is absolutely acceptable and beautiful as it is. That this body, this image can be loved. There's nothing wrong with me, right? But you literally have to sit here and water yourself with these like affirmations, almost like affirmations that there's nothing wrong with how you look. And this checking yourself is unnecessary. The clarifier for this card is the Ace of Raphael. This is a card that was almost destroyed during the Virgo reading, right? And I said that this one is either a Virgo or a Gemini here, right? So you just, I want to say, have a look at the Virgo reading perhaps, if this resonates for you somehow. But this card talks about a positive new emotional experience, fulfilling romantic relationships, deep and lasting spiritual insights. So I feel like even though you have been through this devastating experience here of being, I want to say, accused and corrected somehow, accused and corrected, and it has somehow internalized. Even though you have experienced that, you may actually come out on the other side having a realization, a stronger realization of why this has happened. You come out on the other side with an acceptance of how you look, and that nobody should criticize you for how you look, the style you choose, the colors you choose. I get almost a feeling of like coming out of the closet. When I sat down to do your reading, I've just showered and I took on some clothes, and it just felt wrong. You would say all people probably have that in their wardrobe, the go-to clothes, right? The stuff we feel comfortable in, the stuff we normally choose, right? A favorite pair of jeans or a favorite shirt or something. And it was not quite there. It is in the laundry. So I was kind of looking at my wardrobe, right? And it's like, it doesn't seem to be right. I found some shirts that has been in the back of the closet for some years, and they were actually not quite fitting me. So I had this an awkward feeling of not feeling quite comfortable And again, this feeling that there's something wrong with my image or something. And I almost chose the camouflage, right? I have a camouflage shirt and I have a matching cap. And I almost decided to take it on. And then it was like, no, hell no, right? I am who I am. The camouflage thing kind of tells me something about wanting to be incognito, blending in, you know. Kind of wanting that. Camouflage, you know, the stuff that doesn't look great. You know, like if you, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if you use your shapewear, for instance, there's nothing wrong with that. You can do whatever you want. It has to do with your image, right? It has to do with how you see yourself. And I just have this, that if you put on shapewear, it must be because the image you see in the mirror doesn't feel right. There could be a shame or an embarrassment, or, you know, about how you actually look, you know, and I'm not a fan of that. I understand people may choose it, and me going through menopause, I have like a hormone belly, right? It's definitely starting, and I'm not a fan of it, let's just say that, but I also don't wanna hide it, right? Because I'm not 20. I'm in this period of my life, and I'm supposed to be able to show up and look how I look, because people in my age, women in my age, we go through this, and it should not be a hidden thing. It should be seen, witnessed, known, and liked, because all top models, being 16, 20, they will come to this point also. Your mother did, your grandmother did. And you may have loved those people, no matter whether they had the dingling arms, or, which is also coming, and the belly, right? You love them no matter what, because it has nothing to do with that, right? It has something to do with this, the heart of the sky, which is the next card that is here for you, this is what you're learning, I feel like, from this. The lesson that you take with you from this experience, which I feel like has been very painful actually, is the heart of the sky here. So the essence of the heart of the sky is the love force that made all creation possible. This same force is present when you create with originality, when you bring formlessness to form, and awe-inspired ideas to expression. This primeval force does not know good or bad. It is up to us to provide the clear intention that will guide it to manifest. The heart of sky helps us call in beauty from the invisible world and birth it in the world of matter. The heart of sky brings you a sacred reminder that you are a channel for the original energy of creation. Become the paintbrush, the canvas, and the artist, all guided by the heart of sky. Set your intentions ethically and clearly, and allow the universe to take care of the details, right? There is definitely a message here of also that you are not alone here, right? That you're not the only one going through something. It says here, you may feel responsible for everything and everyone, Perhaps you think you have to do it all alone. This takes you into a dark hole where you lose trust in the natural order of the cosmos. Shed your lofty sense of duty and recognize that this is a false prison of your own making. You can open the door and set yourself free in an instant. As long as you buy into the old projections, as long as you believe in those, as long as they rule your mind, you can't have a new beginning. You can't have a better or a more loving sense of self. Your self-consciousness about your image and everything is that's what I feel like you're learning, right? That that every body type is perfect. It's all right. I know that doctors would say that, oh, if you're obese, you must lose weight and so on. And maybe you can make that choice, right? But the point is that we're doing it for the right reasons. We're doing it because we want our body to be healthy, not because someone is criticizing us, right? Not because someone is criticizing us. I believe that some of the people that actually end up becoming very obese have been very bullied and criticized for their appearance. I don't think that, and this checking, like, you know, check your this checking, that you check yourself, that is also not healthy, I believe, right? It's like it's there. If you check yourself, it's there, right? This would also talk about an acceptance, right? An acceptance that, okay, when I look at myself now, I look like this, and well, it's almost like you can hear the voices. I believe that if you look yourself in the mirror, it's like, boom, the voices come in here. Oh, my nose is not straight, or my ears are kind of, it's like when you look in your mirror, it's like you can always find something, because it's like the voices here, they can take over. It's like it has planted a seed of arrow spotting, or, you know, like you have a seed in your mind that has been planted, that constantly look for the mistakes, the fault, the wrong, like a wrong seeing, like they are it has sharpened your view. Your mind has been criticized to the point that it has sharpened your view of yourself, becoming very critical about, I feel like appearance and how you look, and there could be this, you know, like choosing to step into like an incognito camouflage tendency, because when I do that, nobody is offended, right? Nobody is offended. It's a neutral kind of maybe you could say clothing or appearance. You go with the flow. You are not sticking out. As I said, with like the camouflage clothes, I almost took that today. Maybe for a long, long time you have wanted to be incognito with your clothing, because it's easier. Then nobody picks on you, right? If you kind of just blend in, you are kind of mainstream, plain mainstream thing, kind of. You know, and maybe dressing in a way where well, people can't see exactly. So I'm looking kind of mediocre, in between something. I'm not provoking anything in that way, right? Because if I did provoke, if I was wearing very flashy clothes, and I decided to take this on today because I feel like maybe you should wear. Maybe you should just own it. That's what I feel like the owning that, and I think it's a choice. It's a choice to own that this is me now, or this is how I look, and maybe these people here from the past. You know, this can be anything. This can be friends back from school. It can be co-workers. It could be your parents. It could be anything. Anything that you have been standing in front of that kind of could criticize you, right? Or come with remarks that always point to how you look or how you dress, or that it's somehow not optimal. And again, if you have been criticized by a Virgo here, the Virgo always goes for highest octave. So they have like these extreme high checklists, right, for what is considered good and what is definitely considered bad. But the Heart of Sky here is kind of here to tell you that the love force, when you incorporate the love force here, the heart, the water, it comes in with like the love force is not critical and harsh, and it's a gentle, soft, compassionate, caring vibration. So if you choose to look at yourself with a gentle, soft, caring, compassionate, understanding vibration, you don't look bad. There's nothing wrong with you. And I want to say also, when you take that approach, a yin approach, you could say, a motherly approach, there could be a willingness to listen to your own story. That could also be what the Six of what I said about nostalgia. Maybe it takes you back, right? It takes you back to stories where you have been hearing something. Where you have been hearing something and it has distorted your way of looking at yourself. It's derailing you. You have a very, like this over-criticizing, double-checking yourself it's meaningless. You're doing it to avoid something, to avoid the criticism of your partner, of your parents, of peers, of colleagues. So you're doing it, you're using a lot of energy on pleasing others and their perfectionistic way of you would say their perfectionistic view of how an image should be. Or what you're doing, like how you're acting. So what you're doing has to do with others, not you. And what you can take from this lesson is that they are not standing in their own love force. Usually when people do this, they point to you and they are they're criticizing you. We say that sometimes this finger actually points right back to them, right? That what they're sending out is actually also what they are telling themselves, right? So it has to do with their own self-image, their own lack of confidence, their own sense of vulnerability or insecurity. That's why they project or criticize or shame or something. But it has nothing to do with you. What you can learn from this is that you can stand in your own love force and love you as you are. And in that, listen to the story, right? That exactly when you listen to your own story, you can have even more love for your body, right? If you listen to your own story here, and you think that, wow, my body has been like overly criticized, which was not fair at all, but it's still here. But it's still here. I may even not have treated it well. With my own brain, when I look in the mirror, I also criticize it. But it also, when I criticize, I'm distancing myself from my body. I externalize from it because I don't like what I see, so I externalize from it, and that is not loving. It's not kind. And the stupid thing about this is, as I said, you could have grandparents, a grandmother, who was a very large lady, you know, and you loved her because it has nothing to do with that, right? It's her personality. It's her way of embracing you and kissing you, right? That's what counts. It's not the appearance. So if you have a partner, or you had a partner who was overly criticizing you or constantly reminding you of your diet or something, you know, not to say that, I don't know your relationship, right? But I want to say, knowing this about your past, I want to say it's not for others to judge you, right? And because you already have enough judgment, it's going on in your mind. Something that may have been verbalized, said to you, is now like a tape recorder in your brain, and the only way to kind of shut that off is to become very conscious about it and choose, I feel like, choose to put on a new shirt, you know, like to don't choose the camouflage and put on a new shirt. I don't know, it could be anything. It could be you want to play with makeup, or you want to, I said something about jumping out of the closet, or getting out of the closet. Maybe you liked, as a child, you liked to wear dresses as a boy, right? Maybe you still like it, but you're not doing it because, well, you are a man, and when you go to work, you're wearing a suit, right? Because that's kind of what you need to do. Maybe you're kind of becoming a little more brave, or you're deciding, I'm not going to let this rule over me. I'm doing the opposite. I'm going to maybe challenge myself in a kind, caring, compassionate, understanding way, that and taking some steps, small steps towards maybe being a little more bold, or trusting that there's nothing wrong with you. And again, there is no right or wrong body type for being, let's say, attractive. certain men, they like the more slim women, and some men, they like women with more body, right? And there's no such thing as an image that is perfect. And, well, depending on the reason, right? But if you want to be, let's say you want to have a certain body type because you know that this is what your partner prefers, I want to say, is that all he prefers then? Like, has he chosen you because of your body type? Or has he chosen you because of your personality? Or maybe a mix of both. But the point is that, as I said, all women, even the top models, will eventually face menopause. An age that can change your body immensely. And it can put you into a pressure of following a certain kind of more or less strict diet. If you want to slim down, you know, but it means that there are certain things you can't eat, usually carbs, right? So again, it's a choice. Do I want a life where I can still do that? Or do I want to follow the pressure, you could say? Do I want to give in to that pressure? There can be other certain things that has an influence, like certain health problems, or I know certain women, suddenly they can't, their body can't deal with gluten or lactose, right? Suddenly the body reacts on some of this, and maybe you need to change your diet because of it, because it's too uncomfortable to like deal with those the bloatedness and stuff like that. But it's just like every woman goes through that. Every man goes through periods in his life where his body is changing. Because the beauty concept is so big for women, I think, for males also, but for women, and staying young and vibrant and glowing and slim and all this, sporty or healthy or something, has been a thing for a long time, and beauty has been a thing for hundreds of years, thousands of years even. The concept of young beauty is not new, but every day a new woman goes into the menopause state, every day. And it's like there is a part of the feminine aspect, you could say, that is almost not seen in the magazines, right? It's like we're supposed to be covered up or not exist like that, right? It's like it's unwanted, you know? It's unwanted somehow to look like that. It's not desirable to look like that. I don't think that is really correct. It's just the media, right, that says so. Because it's like the information is quite clear that you can change this around by remembering that there is no real right or wrong body type or way of looking. The way you look is how you look, and you can do something about it if you want to change it, right? But it should be up to you and not everyone else. It should be your choice, and not because you have this inner critic right? You should do it out of maybe health reasons, or I want to say you should love every inch of your body. I myself, I am not sure I can do this still, but I'm trying, right? I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Because actually I believe that many women have this complex about themselves, some kind of self-consciousness about how they look, that if they are not if they're not presenting in a certain way, then they are, it's not good enough, right? I know on my videos here, one of the things that I always see if I review the videos is that I'm not smiling. I know why I'm not smiling. Usually the theme I talk about is maybe not that jolly, but I'm also not smiling because my mother was like a stone face. She had almost no mimic expression. So I have not been mirrored smiling. It's not a natural thing for me. And at some point I had not a permanent paralyzing of my face. And that's one of the other reasons. But I have realized that I'm not, and it can come across as not very welcoming, right? And I've just thought about it, and it has also been one of the reasons why I haven't shown my face on videos before. So I have had this self-conscious thing about me, right? About the the smiling thing, right? But I'm conscious about it, but sometimes the topic in itself requires, and again, what am I here to do, right? I'm here to bring forth a message. Like I'm not like a news reporter that classically must sit and smile like that. It really becomes like this like a pretense then, right? And if there's anything I really don't like, then it's pretense. And I'm working on my own pretense. You know, like but I hope you get my point of the story here, is that through your water you can change some of this. You can become the kindest person, your own cheerleader here, on how you look, and maybe choose to show yourself, right? Choose to be who you are, or choose to talk about it. Choose to talk about, I don't know, hormone changes or weird problems that come. For instance, my hair is like, it has never been that dry. Let's just say that. And this is one of those things also, that usually I put it up like this because it looks dry, no matter what I try to do with it. And believe me, I've tried many things. It has always had a tendency because it's curly, but now it's really dry. And I put all kinds of stuff in it. It doesn't really help, I feel like. So I kind of just, okay, now it's like this. We'll see about it. And somehow, I don't know, maybe I'm just encouraging you to just be you. You could be a young person watching this. but you should still be you. And you are not at all in a menopause situation or anything like that. It's just an example, right? But the point is that there's nothing wrong with you. But you have been standing in front of something or someone who really sharply and harshly criticized you. Please go back and look at the Virgo reading. Like I spilled coffee all over the place. And as I said, this card here was almost destroyed. I had to tape it up, you know, like repair it. I had to repair this. And again, I feel it's like a symbol for these readings that I have been doing, that we need to repair something about our positive feelings here, right? Especially if you have grown up without them, that you grew up with a lot of criticism and harshness, that this is what we need to repair, that this is what we may have lost, but it's also what we need to repair, right? Seeing beauty, seeing good, seeing light, seeing positive. Because if you have been constantly criticized, it can be very difficult to see positive. And positive could be your compass. Positive could be your new guiding star, you know, that will take you to different waters. That could be what you want out of the darkness, right? So have that in mind, that even though there has been many speed bumps, even though that everything you have experienced, you can learn something from it. If you are open to it, and if you choose to, you can turn it around, and also you can be a person who is good at giving compliments, right? You could become that person that your parents were not. They were the opposite here, but you could become that person. You could become that person that is very good at giving compliments to people, no matter their size or look or age or something. You know, like, because you know the opposite. Because you know the opposite, you could be the one that is very good at giving yourself compliments. Yourself compliments or others compliments. That now, every time you take on some clothes, you go towards the mirror, right? You look yourself in the mirror and you tell yourself, wow, I am stunning, right? I look stunning. You know, like, become your own cheerleader, and your own kind and supportive and gentle and compassionate cheerleader here. And you could be that person, as I said, to others as well. For instance, if you, let's say you are in a position where you are in contact with, or you work with young people. Young people today, I believe they are just as self-conscious about their body as my generation was, and even further back, and maybe it's even worse now. I want to say, if you have been or you are in contact with young girls, you just, it could be a good thing that to just put in those compliments. Even if the girls, they just reject it, stop that, don't say that, and so on. But actually it's yeah. And I want to say also, be mindful if people are actually commenting you or complimenting you. Don't disregard it, don't say no to it, because that is your old way of thinking, right? If people have told you at some point that you are that the dress you're wearing is very beautiful on you or something, or you got new glasses and people see it and they are commenting on it, complimenting you. Just let it in, right? Let it in somehow. Yeah, that's what I feel like. I hope this helps somehow for you. I don't know if I can find more to tell you. About I just feel like being positive and telling yourself that, let's say you have not looked at yourself in the mirror for a long time, and you do, and you almost get shocked and you believe, oh my God, I have to go on a diet. Well, you can go on that diet. But I want to say, be kind to yourself while you are starting this, right? Be kind to yourself. Again, the 6 here, right? She's sitting here holding her stomach, right? Don't try to hide anything, right? Don't try to just... If you go to the beach with your bikini, that's how you look. And it's quite all right, because, as I said, at least if you're my age, I'm 52, right? If you're my age, around my age, and you're a woman, you will probably feel some of all this. And there can be this feeling that that it's not good enough somehow. But as I said, remember your grandmother, right? You didn't care about it. It's not what it's about. So I hope this helped. I know it's easier said than done, perhaps, because I think we have inherited almost this complex, this body complex, right? And I just feel like it's so... My mind can understand that this is not supposed to be a thing at all. But another part of my mind still sometimes puts forward that criticizer, right? It's really annoying. And maybe you have that as well. That a part of you says, carpe diem, whatever. And the other one says, oh, I can't show up like that. It's too much or something, right? Because if it's too much, people will react to it. They would look at you and send you like a stare, or shake their heads, or, like gossip about you or something, right? And well, a part of us, I mean, if it's negative, we don't want it, right? We don't like it. Unless you are a big rebellion and you kind of just thrive on that. So you can wonder, you can think about that, Capricorn, if you want to be that rebellion. I don't know. You have free choice. You can do whatever you want. But this is the story I had, right? And I just hope that I could soften it a little bit. I don't know. At least the idea of the mirror here, because this card doesn't come up unless you have an effect on people. Unless you have an effect, on people. This can be one of your magic powers, that you are like this mirror. And people don't like that you put a mirror up in front of them. Not necessarily. Not if the mirror is showing them the things they're trying to hide. There are people like that in the world. I call them catalysts. I believe there were some kind of Indian term for it as well. It is a kind of trickster. What is it called? It's certain people who have some kind of strong, sensitive absorption system. And in the Indian culture, like an Indian tribe, we know there is a medicine man, right? But there was also this one. What were they called? I can't remember now. But they come across as, they're called a trickster. But the reason is that when they are around certain people, they pick up on the energy of that person and they start behaving differently. Sometimes they were acting like monkeys, like sometimes they were screaming and yelling and jumping around and something. And when the tribe was watching, they knew that something was off. It's not because the person, like the trickster, was the problem. They were just acting as a mirror to something else. This is what you have. This is what I feel like is going on here. You could somehow pick up on someone else's energy, start saying, speaking, doing something that is the shadow of that person, and they hate it. And therefore they would bully you, pointing the finger and everything. They would do that. They would try to make sure that you change that behavior. But what you were doing is actually just mirroring back to them what they don't want to see about themselves. This is a very, very strong catalyst ability to have. But it's terrible if you don't know it. Like in these Indians culture tribes, this would be recognized very soon in children. So from a very young age, they were already recognized for having this ability. Like a medicine man could have another ability, they had this. And it means that you could send this one out in the forest. If there was a danger out there, they would come back and react in some kind of crazy way. And the tribe would know that there's something wrong, right? But if you have never been told, you were just criticized. So it's a very strong ability to have and master, I think also, because it actually literally means that you do absorb something. You feel it. Again, as I said, you have these spider senses here, otherwise you can't navigate in the dark, right? You have these abilities to do this, and it means that you suddenly meet something, and all your spider senses are kind of alarm, alarm, alarm. This is where you may have a reaction. Maybe you're shaking, that your body is shaking, or you roll your eyes back or something. I don't know what it is, right? But at some point it has been criticized, whatever you did. Maybe it was like heavy breathing. Maybe you took all your clothes off, you pick up on something, and it's not allowed. Like the people around you did not understand that. The message you actually gave them, they didn't get it, right? They just wanted it to go away. So this is a strong ability. You can have a look at it. Like if you become very aware of this, you can test it, right? You can test it again. If you pick up on some very, very bad vibes about something, and you start saying it, you become very honest and very clear, and you start saying it, you can see the reaction of the people around you. Those that react most negatively, it's probably their energy you pick up on. I can't remember. It's called a trickster, some kind of trickster. And it's because suddenly they act in some kind of crazy way, or they do something really out of norm, or rigid. They could have a rigid behavior. Maybe you had a rigid behavior to something and you got shamed for it. But it was not you. You are just you are channeling the message or mirroring the message, right? That something was wrong. But it wasn't understood like that. It's a powerful thing to be able to do. But of course, it means that those around you need to understand. Like they have to understand that when you start reacting like that, or when you do something like that, it's because something is really, really bad here, right? That's what I feel I have for you. I hope this helps somehow. Because it's terrible to grow up and you just feel that there's something wrong with you. And you don't even know what it is or what you have done, right? Okay, this is what I have. Take care of yourself out there. Yeah. Take care of yourself, Capricorn. I send you my very best love and light to you. Bye-bye.